Walter Scott, say his name. Walter Scott, say his name. Walter Scott, say his name. Walter Scott, won't you say his name? Jermaine Reed, say his name. Jermaine Reed, say his name. Jermaine Reed, say his name. Jermaine Reed, won't you say his name? Philip White, say his name. Philip White, say his name. Philip White, say his name. Philip White, won't you say his name? Say his name. 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 Eric Garner, 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 won't you say his name? Trayvon Martin, say his name. Trayvon Martin, say his name. Trayvon Martin, say his name. Trayvon Martin, won't you say his name? Sean Bell, say his name. Sean Bell, say his name. Sean Bell, say his name. Sean Bell, won't you say his name? Say his name. 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 Won't you say his name?
Brady Gray, say his name. Brady Gray, say his name. Brady Gray, say his name. Brady Gray, won't you say his name? Ayanna Jones, say her name. Ayanna Jones, say her name. Ayanna Jones, say her name. Ayanna Jones, won't you say her name? Sandra Bland, say her name. Sandra Bland, say her name. Sandra Bland, say her name. Sandra Bland, won't you say her name? Say her name. 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 Won't you say her name?
Kimani Gray, say his name. Kimani Gray, say his name. Kimani Gray, say his name. Kimani Gray, won't you say his name? John Crawford, say his name. John Crawford, say his name. John Crawford, say his name. John Crawford, won't you say his name? Michael Brown, say his name. Michael Brown, say his name. Michael Brown, say his name. Michael Brown, won't you say his name? Say his name. 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 Won't you say his name?
morning, everyone. Good morning, good Sunday morning, good reparations morning. I want to introduce the chair of the Reparations Ashe Committee, Brother Jumoke Ifitayo. He will start us off, and then we'll do a meditation.
Greetings. Thank you, Sister Shakira. Again, my name is Nanakwesi Jumoke Fetayo. I serve as a facilitator of the Ashe Committee. Since 2005, the Ashe Committee has taken a responsibility to coordinate the spiritual reparation Sundays that happen, ceremonies that happen on Sunday during our convention, as well as to make sure that there's spiritual continuity throughout our convention with the libations, opening and closing prayers and ceremonies. We have had organized very powerful experiences over the years. We go to plantations, we go to the rivers, we go to ocean, we go to sacred places where there might have been a massacre and honor and uplift our ancestors. We're doing this virtual this year, so it's a little bit different of a feel, but we know that it was still important for us to honor our ancestors and uplift the reparations movement on the spiritual level. That is the goal of the Ashe Committee. And we invite people from all faith traditions that are interested in working on reparations, focusing on faith and spirituality and African culture and tradition to join with the Ashe Committee and help us to continue that work. So again, want to thank Sister Shakira, who heard me speak about the Ashe Committee in one of our meetings and said, that sounds like the work that I want to do to advance reparations is through the spiritual side of it. And people who feel that call, you feel it, then you know what we're talking about. So we invite you to be a part of the Ashe Committee. So right now we're going to begin, well, first of all, let me talk about the opening. So the opening, we start with the language of the ancestors. We start with the language of the universe, which is the drums, which calibrate our heartbeat, which calibrate the rhythms in our body, which calibrate us to the planet Earth and to the entire solar system and universe. So we started out with the Sand Conscious drummers. And then after that, we followed up with I'm calling old school, new school music, because when our ancestors were brought here and they banned the drums, and when they banned the drums, one of the ways our ancestors were the creativity and ingenuity to keep the drums was to put the taps on the bottom of their shoe. So their shoes became the drums, and their dance, they continued the dance and drum through the tap. So tap dance is a very powerful and profound creation of our ancestors to honor the drum and to honor the importance of music and drum in our culture and tradition. So, and we say new school because it was set to the tune of Janelle Monáe's Hell You Talking About. And in that song, what she's saying, if you're not clear, is what she's saying is that she's saying that if you're talking about foolish things, if you're talking about trivial things, that's not what's important. What's happening is that people are being killed by the police, and that we need to deal with that. We need to address that. And that's what they were calling out, the names of people who have been killed by the police, and no justice, or very little justice has been served in terms of that. And so this dynamic tap dance use that song to honor our ancestors and incorporate the tap dance with it. So to me, it was a very profound way for us to open this up with the old school drumming and a new school tap dance drumming with Janelle Monáe. So now we are going to begin. Sister Shakira is going to help to center us and ground us in what she does in meditation, guided meditation, visualization. So.
Thank you, Brother Jumoke. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shakira Abdul-Ali. I have been a follower and a student of the reparations movement since at least 1989. And I am so pleased, so honored to be asked to participate in this morning's celebration. We have a number of esteemed and honored elders and scholars with us this morning. And I'd like to help us get centered so that we can receive their information. We can give homage to our ancestors and to ask for the guidance and the grace of the Creator as we go through this morning's ceremony. So I'm going to ask that wherever you are, if you get centered in your seat, and just begin to breathe. Just close your eyes or soften your eyes if you don't want to close them. Soften your eyes and get centered in your seat, and bring into consciousness your heart space. Bring that into your awareness, and breathe as though you are breathing through your heart space. Just breathe. Inhale through your nose. Breathe out through your heart space. Now, see yourself
Area WPFW is
centered
your community radio.
in your heart space.
So listen, hope you
Now,
enjoy it, and we hope you support it.
breathe through your heart space. Now, imagine chains around your body. And now see those chains breaking. Release those chains. See them coming undone, undoing inequity, undoing chains of exclusion. See doors and windows opening. See chains of domination breaking. See the emotional, psychological, physical chains cracking open, breaking. Chains of terror from suffocation and murder disintegrating into the ether. Break those chains and breathe. And keep breathing until you see and begin to feel the space of healing washing over your body. Healing is washing over your body. The waves of healing are healing the wounds in your heart, healing the wounds in your mind, healing the wounds in your spirit, healing wounds in your body, in your household. Waves of healing are washing over your household, your community. See the waves washing from shore to shore, healing throughout. And breathe. Breathe deeply. Now begin to feel the space of self-efficacy and personal power and personal agency. Breathe it in. Agency over your body. Agency over your thoughts. Agency over your own governance. Agency over your community. Breathe it in. Agency over your say-so. Breathe. Feel your power. Breathe. Feel God's grace. Now, feel the space of abundance. Feel the power of prosperity. Breathe it in. Feel the luxury of self-determination. See your community as whole and complete. Nothing missing. All resources to enjoy just being. Breathe deeply. Feel the well-being. And now feel the space of deep contentment, of peace, of calm. Breathe it in. Release the tension. Enjoy the luxury of deep, satisfying rest. Whole and complete. Feel the space in your heart, in your body, in your spirit. Breathe in the peace. Breathe. Breathe. And when you're ready, when you're fully whole, open your eyes for a good rising. Thank you. Brother Jumoke, Baba Jumoke Ifatayo.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that wonderful grounding, Sister Shakira. So one of the things that we wanted to do in this Reparations Sunday was to lift up the 5 forms of reparations and to somewhat spiritualize the 5 forms of reparations. So the way that we're going to do that is through libations to each of the 5 forms of reparations. 5 forms of reparations are cessation and non-repetition, compensation, restitution, rehabilitation, and satisfaction. And so we are so honored to have Dr. Rosalind and Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who have been long-term supporters of Ncobra, have spoken at many of our conventions and conferences over the years, and we're glad to have them as a part of our Reparation Sunday. We're also glad to have Dr. Chinsira and Per Ankh University to be a part of this as well. They recorded their libation in advance for us. They're down in the Virgin Islands and have been a long time activists for reparations as well. And so at this point, I'm going to talk a little bit about cessation and non-repetition. Yes, somebody's reminding me that the Leonard Jeffries are also lifetime members of Ncobra. Yes, get them their props, And so I'm going to talk about cessation and non-repetition and in the form of a libation as well. So before I do that though, I just wanna see if I can pan around here. And yes, so this in here, situate it a little bit. All right. So what the Ashe Committee has brought to Ncobra over the years, one is this reparations and ancestral shield. This shield, we dance with this shield into the Ncobra membership meetings. If you can see the whole thing at the top. All right, I should have been a little bit more prepared for this. Okay. So this is a 6-foot replication of the Ncobra logo. At the bottom of the shield is a logo that symbolizes that we are linked in a chain, and we are linked with our ancestors in life and death, and that which is linked together cannot be broken apart. This is a symbol here of the snake. These are Ndinka symbols climbing the tree. When our ancestors saw this, they thought that it wasn't possible. They said, look at that snake overcoming great odds. Many people years ago thought that we would not be where we are right now with this conversation reparations. They thought it was impossible. It was a dream. It would never happen. And it's happening because of the work that we've done, because we thought it was possible. We visualized that it was possible. We prayed that it was possible. And we did the work to climb that tree was reparations. And at the top, oh shoot. No, I didn't.
You're still on. We see you, brother.
You still see me? Okay, I don't see myself though. Sorry. Thank you, Cam. Oh shoot. Okay. At the top is the logo for we are excuse me for that. That which is in heaven that is owed to us, that which is due to us, let it come to us. And this is the reparations ancestral shield. Let me just figure out what's going on with my screen. Apologize for the technical, my hand hit something. Okay, I just saw it there. There we go. Okay. We also set up at the Ncobra conventions each year since 2005, the reparations ancestral altar with our ancestors who contributed to the reparations movement, Mama and Jerry, Mario Abdul-Ali, Chokwe Lumumba, Baba Hannibal Afrique, and Dorothy Benton Lewis, and many, many more. And we've also created, starting in 2005, the Reparations Ancestral Shrine, which has gone to sacred places around the United States and even to Jamaica, and has been empowered with prayers, with spiritual energy from those sacred places. Mama Diana brought us some sacred herbs back from Ethiopia. It has sand and earth from the dungeons in West Africa, and it carries the energy that we need to empower ourselves for winning reparations. And so now I'm going to do the libation for cessation and non-repetition. And I thought about this and said, well, let me do a disclaimer. So this does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Ncobra, its board, or members. This is brought to you by Brother Jumoke. So, let's see here. A little bit earlier. Can you see the plant? Yeah, there we go. All right. All right. We ask wherever you are, to put yourself in a reverent posture. We ask you to take a couple deep breaths in, breathe in slowly, and breathe out. Breathe in again slowly, and breathe out. Cessation and non-repetition means that as we craft our reparations, we have to design it such that the crimes that have happened to people of African descent and still happening do not, that they end, first of all, that they end, Ashe, and that they do not happen in the future, Ashe. We summon the Creator and our ancestors to give us the creativity, to give us the vision, to create reparations and to structure it in a way that the crime will end, Ashe,
Ashe.
and that it will not happen again in the future. What I visualize is us evolving to a point where we don't even have policing in our community, Ashe.
Ashe.
Where we have, there's already a movement called abolition, where we have abandoned prisons, Ashe.
Ashe.
We're talking about a time when we are in control and self-governing ourselves without interference, Ashe.
Ashe.
We're talking about a time when we are unified with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and Central South America, Europe and Africa. We're traveling back and forth between those places and not bound by any types of regulations and visas and passports and all of those kind of things that get in the way of us moving about and interacting and doing commerce and business with our brothers and sisters around this planet. Ashe.
Ashe.
We see a world where anti-Black racism does not exist, Ashe.
Ashe.
We see a world where perhaps we don't even use cash or currency. We have other systems of barter and exchange where people give their talents in exchange for other people sharing their talents with each other, Ashe.
Ashe.
And we want you to take a minute and visualize, what would it look like? What would it look like? What would it feel like to live in a world where the crimes and the attack on people of African descent is no longer? Just visualize that in your own mind. I've gave some ideas. Perhaps the ancestors will speak to you and give you some ideas. What would that look like? We have to actually begin to think about that and create that and inspire our children and our children's children to think about that, and that they would extend whatever our best thoughts are. I say is whatever our best thoughts are. We are so damaged at this point. We may not even be able to visualize or vision what's necessary, but perhaps our children, if they get a little bit more healed, a little bit more whole, they'll be able to continue the vision and carry it even further. Ashe.
Ashe.
So in Ncobra, the Ashe Committee, we lift up this libation as part of the reparations movement, as part of saying that we have to really vision, go deep, communicate with our ancestors who lived hundreds and thousands and millions of years ago in this world that was much different than what we live in. And how do we repair ourselves? How do we repair ourselves such that we're not harming this earth and cutting down millions of trees and all of the ways that we even participate in contributing to the degradation of this planet? We have to reverse that. work for healing this planet. Ashe.
Ashe.
So again, we pour this last libation for our children and our children's children. They will continue this work of reparations, and they will continue to evolve reparations. They will continue to defend reparations. They will continue to maintain reparations. They will continue to advance reparations and making sure that the crimes against our people cease and do not happen again in the future. Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe,
Ashe.
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 At this time, we're going to have one of my esteemed elders, Baba Yoga Bay, who has spent a lifetime studying different traditions, different systems, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, many other systems I don't even know about, been initiated in different secret societies. And he is going to lead us in just the way that he does in weaving his wisdom and experience for elevation, I remember having a conversation one time with Fulani, and we were talking about nation building, and we talked about how successful can our nation be if we're sick and if we're damaged, if we're traumatized. We know we have to do this work of self-repair. We know we have to do this work of healing ourselves, empowering ourselves so that we will be strong and be able to defend the reparations that we're demanding. And so Baba Yoga Bay is just going to do what he does in the way that he does, and we give thanks for his contribution.
Greetings, family. How's everyone doing?
Greetings, brother.
Hey, there's so much this world we need to reparations for, on, and in. Father Kwesi was saying language, all of the different aspects, period. Hundreds, thousands of years was actually being out of our mind. Whipped and tortured and killed, and hypnosis, and can't even think of all of the atrocities still taking place. So on this long road back, we talk about the trail of tears. Any and everything to imagination. So on that long journey back, that long road back, Spirit was telling me, well, Baba, wicked brain cells that's just been lying dormant thousands. We don't just have hundreds, billions, billions. I'm of the mind to say we have trillions atoms, molecules. As many stars are in the sky, it's also so in my yoga, in my Tai Chi and my Qigong rejuvenated and flipping the aging process came upon me to introduce, to go inside myself, not waiting for any of the things. You have to excuse me, I haven't looked at television in about 15, 20 years, so all I know is new. I'm not aware of, so get to God. Life serves me well, and it has always served me well. July 11th, a couple more days from now, I would gone around the sun. I like to even say I've gone around the solar system. So I'll be 777, 7th month, 77 years old, 11th day. Gift to us and reparation, gift to us and the whole families. I want you to take it. Well, before I even go to that, the Spirit says, let's deal with the tax. Rub your hands. Clap for the time. Hips together. Put them on your crown. Just begin to tap. I want you to tap. And as you tap, I want you to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. Then inhale, exhale, and tap. I'm going to remove my crown. I'm going to remove my glasses, because this is not any beauty contest. This is a healing contest. We're going to heal. Rub my face, tap my temples, tap my temples. Breathe in and breathe out. Some of you are familiar with this, but so many of us are not, because action speaks louder than words. For those of us who aren't familiar, there's no excuses. It's okay. It's all right. But for those of us who are, the proof is in the pudding. You can tell a person if they're aware of what they say they do by the actions. So if you are aware of this, why are you so stressful? So many problems if you say you are aware. So we want to tap into inner self, and those brain cells, wake them up. We want to stimulate. I want you to tap the third eye. I want you to massage. And breathe out. I want you to rub around the two eyes in the socket. I want you to breathe in and breathe out. I want you to go to your sinuses. In and breathe out. I want you to alternate your breathing from the nostrils by tapping left to right. Breathe in, breathe out. You tap your jaws and your face gently. Sometimes we have to slap some sense into us. We have to do it with love, nothing to harm us. Definitely behind the ears. Because if the devil, if Shaitan lives any place in our body, he lives right behind the ears, whispering, kind of mess, all kind of foolishness. I like to call it stinking thinking. whispers all kinds of things. Not only does he whisper, he has the ability, as you know, deal with visualization. So he puts all kinds of movies inside of it. So the neck, the most important joint, all of them important, the neck, because it's connected to the crown, brain, and the body. So the neck, communication, and you know that the Shaitan, the devil, charge of communication. That's one of his attributes, the communication. I want you to tap the back of your neck. The reptilian brain, as some may call it, right there under the lobe, right there connected to the bottom of the brain. Then I want you to come into the middle of the brain, that soft spot. And I want you to go to the forehead, just tap. I want you to comb like a comb. Use your fingernails, scrape. You're taking away all of the muck and the mire, all of the crud, taking it out or smooth it off. Understand that if it took thousands of years to get us into this position, it's going to take, I don't mean to bust your bubble, and it's going to take an ample amount of time. I won't go as far as to say thousands. This is going to take some time to get us where we were. Tap your wrist. Tap your elbow. Tap your shoulders. The Chinese call this Qigong. There's so many forms of Qigong. I was in China. There's more forms of Qigong than Carter has Liverpool. You know, a lot of us are exposed to just what the media want to show us. But if we haven't gone and visited these places, studied, then we only know what the media has showed us. Not. And brush. I probably won't have a chance to get through all of it because of the time constraint. But I just want to give you a little flavor. I want you to work your soul mode about 2 to 6 inches from your physical body. I want you to feel that energy as you outline. Constantly breathe. And breathing to be with the planet. Then we rub. And we do the same thing on the opposite side. We tap. We knock. And we brush. So you're breathing, not just through your nostrils, not just your lungs, but every pore in your body. How many pores do you have in your body? Countless. For every hair follicle, every hair particle, that's a pore, an opening to trace not only your physical body, but your spiritual, as I said earlier, your soul mode. When you talk about your emotions are not just inside you, on you, but they're actually a lot of times outside. Why when we hear a siren or a gunshot outside of us, we jump. I'm going to wrap it up right now. And we always like to wrap it up. And unfortunately, the spiritual healing always get a bum rap. We always spend so little time in doing what's so important. Breathe in. Breathe out. We'll come back later on and add a little more to this. Grab your shoulders. Give yourself a big hug and thank yourself. Tap your shoulders. Call your name. Baba, I love you. Call your name. Don't you love yourself? Call your name. Baba,
I can't
I
tell you.
love you.
I can't. I'm not looking.
Baba, oh, I love you. Give yourself a big hug. Mm, mm. And open up and say, so help me.
So help me.
Because the way this world is designed, you need help. You can't get through this life without help. Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe. Oh.
Ashe. Oh.
Yes, yes. And like I said, just so much wisdom and so much time. One of the things that the Ashe Committee intends to do in the next year is to actually plan some healing retreats so we can take time and give the proper energy and amount of time to really go and do the healing work that we need to do. So at this time, the next libation will be given to us by a super powerful, dynamic woman, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, expert on African art, and culture, and tradition. And we are so thankful for her. And I'm sorry, also let me give thanks to Brother Baba for what he just shared with us. Thank you, Baba. And want to bring her on now to give us a libation in the area of rehabilitation, the area of 5 forms of reparation that deals with healing, that deals with restoring ourselves from the trauma that we have experienced and continue to experience. Thank you, Mama Dr. Jeffries.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me on this wonderful healing circle. And following after Baba, the great tapping that he has done, and the breath to breathe, we bring it back to Africa. So the tapping, we believe, had to do with Asia, but we know the Ainu people who were also the Twa, the Baktwa, the Song people, S-A-N, came from Africa and went into Asia and became part of the foundation of the culture that was built in Japan and China. And so if we go back to Africa, we find that the Congo people in Central Africa were the ones to tap and to Nkondi, Nkanga Nkondi, to tap into a nail, a wooden object, because the wood was created by God Supreme, the trees, the forests, the plants. And if you tap into wood, it was like tapping into yourself. I am a tree planted by the rivers of water. And that tapping was to say, wake up, God, wake up, sky, wake up, trees, and listen to what my heart has to say. So that those objects were used in court for litigation. And he also mentioned chi. This, I'm not giving a full lecture, but I'm just picking up what he said, pushing it into the Africa that we know. He was so wonderful. So the chi, we know from the Bambara people in Mali, Chihuahua is the sculpture. And what that it represents but the meridian energies from God, because they're meridian energies on the planet, longitudinal lines and latitudinal lines. There are sacred spots. And so that there's a meridian to do with the earth and a meridian that has to do with the cosmos. We know about Orion, we know about Sirius. And so we are a people from the earth, and I'm going to pour libation, and to libate is to liquefy. So where the dryness was, remember in the famine stele, prehistoric, ancient Kemet, when there was a dryness in the area that's Kemet, that they went seeking to find the answer. In desperation, people dying, dysfunctional, like people dying and dysfunctional today. And so they went to the south, to the southern part in the high mountains. And they said, what's happened? Why are not we getting the inundation of the black soil to fertilize the lands in Kemet? And they found out that the secret had to do with praising. The secret had to do with reparations. What is reparations? Reparations has to do with repentance. And so I start off talking to you today about libation. The Comedic says that the water came from high up in the sky. In the Astrodome, they had pictures. They had pictures in the Astrodome, and the pictures, one of them was of the hippo, the big pregnant belly of the Black woman, the big pregnant belly up there. And with her was the crocodile. And what was the crocodile? That tough primordial skin like the dinosaurs had to do with judgment. So if you see the crocodile in many African objects, it's the ancestral ancient of the age of the dinosaur, straight on through the generations into the epigenetics and into us in the judgment. And so we know that there was also a river deep down into the earth, and as it came up, that was the source, the real source of the Blue Nile and the White Nile. And so we, as a people, in our libation, should not think too small of our God. That's the reason I'm talking, because sometimes we say God, and that's a European word, come after the Gothic, God, German, Greek. But our people said netter. What was the netter? The wind in the banner. It was the breath that the Baba was dealing with as he did with the tapping. Oh Lord, we thank you for your greatness, the greatness of who you are. And we ask you first, Lord, as we praise your name most high, most eternal, the righteous, the benevolent, perfect, like a circle is perfect, like a triangle is perfect in its geometry. You are perfect in all your ways, and such great wrath and anger came from you when you saw that we, in not knowing fully who you are, not knowing fully the scope of who you are, the amen, the deep darkness in the sky around us, the melanin in our system, the melanin in the body that was tapped, the darkness of the eye, the inner brain, substantia nigra, into all of the cells, the melanin. Oh Lord, we thank you who are inside eternity and outside eternity. And we ask you to forgive us for the wrath in us, because you took the wrath. You took the wrath. Forgive us for our trespasses against ourselves, the way that you have created and made us. Reparations for ourselves, and others will understand the reparations they need to give us as a people who built America. In God we trust. We suffered. Part of life is so often suffering. How do you get Iwa Pile? How do you get good character? Good character comes by suffering and at each bend overcoming, having the victory because you put God first. So we first say, God, forgive us for our trespasses, for messing up your creation, going off to ourselves, not letting your will be our will. We say, oh Lord, let your will be ours. We love you because you love us more than we can love ourselves. We love you because you teach us first how to love you and the universe that you have created. We remember looking at those of you who are Islamic, know God supreme, know the Ancient of Days, know the Rock of Ages. You who are Christian say that Jesus is God. And Jesus said more often than saying, be healed. And the commandment of your own self within your own consciousness, you command, be healed, be mayat, be balanced, reciprocity, resilience, be healed. More than saying be healed, he said, be thou made whole. And be thou made whole means the history. Wholeness comes with the history because you didn't make yourself. Wholeness comes with the mother that birthed you, the father that had the vision for the family. Wholeness came with history single and history plural. We thank you, Lord, and we love you, and with that love, we love ourselves. The spirit door heart opens up to you. No stiff neck, no hard-hearted. We praise you, we praise you, we praise you. Now let me pour libations. You know, I could go on literally for 4 hours praising God, but I will ask Charles if he would hold his plant. I don't want to just pour into another vessel as not right. I pour libation onto this plant, pouring to libate my own self, to libate all of the ancestors of us all, to libate for Nyame, God supreme of the Ghanaian people, to libate
Ashe.
God supreme of the Dogon people, Ama, Olonkolo of South
Ashe.
Africa, to libate Congo, Angola, in Zambia, the name. Dr. Foucault said they were monotheists, like some of the Hebrews, monotheists. And we pray, pour libation to the Yoruba, Oloromare, God, the breath of life that we're tapping in the Genesis that moved upon the face of the deep, the Genesis within us, within the ancestry, the archaeology, the anthropology, the paleontology of the times past. We pour a libate, Olodumare Olorun, the owner of all that is, the owner of all of the wealth of Africa and all the continents, and that you should live and come and be created after the wealth that was given unto you.
Ashe.
Eleda, Eleda, Oloromare, Oloron, Eleda. Eleda represents the unbound electrical EMF, electrical frequency vibration that's in the atmosphere that the Kemetic people call O2.
Ashe.
So we libate for all of the unborn children yet to be born and those that are here on earth now that need so much care and so much attention. When the child, the infant is born, Dr. Africa used to say that study liquefaction, to liquefy, because that child was in the aquatic womb. And when it came out, it learned through the liquid, things in the liquid, in the epigenetics. It learned. And so the child would want to grab a pencil, put it in its mouth, grab the mother's finger, put it in its mouth, grab an old shoe. Oh, no, no, baby, don't do that. Anything to liquefy, because the liquefaction in the saliva in the mouth sends the coded messages. Oh, Lord, we love you. How marvelously you created us. How marvelously you created us. We thank you. We praise you. We praise you, Lord, for freedom. In God we trust. Freedom, what is it? Freedom is to be bondage, to be a slave, to be bonded to this God of the universe that had your destiny. And so if someone comes and gives you another destiny, tell you you are what you are not, then that's the evil that comes to snatch away that love relationship that you have. And then we love you, we love you, we love you, we love you, we love you. We love you with the spirit door open. We love you. We thank you. We praise you. The generation, Lord, please, we beg you, Lord, to bless the generation. The young people are having so much problem doing things their own way, running off. Where are you, Adam? Where are you, Joe? John, where are you? Kwame, where are you? All of the names, now where are you? The only answer that is acceptable is, here I am, Lord. I am yours, me Ra, in your likeness, and Stepan Ra, your chosen that you made. Any other definition is lacking. We praise you. We thank you. Regeneration, reconciliation, reparations. We thank you and praise you. Amen. A threefold amen. Amen. Let everybody say amen.
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 Amen. Amen.
The hands that were tapping, we ask you raise the hands that were tapping and personally ask of God that which you would like to ask and expect an answer. Hands over the heart. May God be satisfied.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Amen. Ashe.
Madasi.
Sante Madasi Adupe Shukran. All right. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. Wow, wow, wow. Master Teacher Jegna, we give thanks for that powerful message, inspiration from you, Mama Rosalind Jeffries, and grateful for your participation in this Sacred Reparation Sunday. and a profound contribution you just made. So at this time, we're going to get part 2 from Baba Yoga. And he will, and again, these are 10-minute snippets. So he's just giving you not even an appetizer, just a little bit. We give thanks and praises for that little bit, that appetizer that he's given us and sharing with us.
Mama Rosalind, Queen Rosalind, Goddess. So thankful for those words. You know, we men have to be validated by the queen, the female, the woman. So thank you very much for giving me some validation. As we move further, I'd like to go into the spine. I like to deal with that Mason-Dixon line that runs from the tailbone all the way up to the crown. So wherever you are, however you are, as you can see, I'm not doing too much movement right now because I can and I will. But since I'm counseled to deal with snippets, that's almost impossible for me, but I'll do my best. I want you to shake your body. I just want you to shake. Just shake your body all the way from the crown, all the way up, and again, stimulating those cells, stimulating those atoms and molecules. So shake. I feel I need to stand up because the tailbone is so important. So I'm going to stand up and we're going to make some alterations. There's no Hollywood here, folks. So we're doing everything on our own to the best of our ability. We're doing a pretty good job. So as we move things around a little bit, you get yourself situated. Loosen your body, the shoulders, and just shake. I want you to shake. You shake when you're happy. You shake when you're sad. You shake when you're sick. You shake when you're well. So shake. You remember your parents telling you, "Oh, shake, boy, let me, don't you dare." They just shake you. So you want to shake up. You know how it is when you're with your loved one and you give her a big shake and she, stop that. You just kind of shake her a little bit. So shake can have so many ramifications as I shake. I'm gonna move now, I'm gonna flow. And I'm dealing with the elements. So as I move and I flow, I want you to use your imagination. I want you to flow with me. I just want you to flow wherever you are. I want you to flow. Be you in the wheelchair, be you in bed, be you up and about. I want you to flow. I want you to move like Ananse with the spider web. And realize that the spider web is a mirror effect of the universe. I mean, God is so powerful. Mother, Father, God, how I'm just amazed at all of the things that you did prior to our arrival. Good gracious Almighty. Prior to our arrival. And we flow. So what we have to do is we have to unwind from this institution called slavery. We have to move out of this entanglement. And as we move and flow, I want you to take one hand and reach into the universe. And I want you to grab a blessing. I tend to like adaptation. So whatever blessing, and there's just trillions of blessings, I tend to like to grab for adaptation because I can adapt to anything. Therefore, I can be successful. So adaptation is what I reach for. And I take that adaptation and I put it into my fifth chakra, my neck, back at that neck. You know, you never want to be a pain in the neck. You don't like pains, nor do you want to be a pain. So you can't see the back of my hand, but I'm massaging that neck. So the back, so you have to use your imagination. Then I take my front hand and I clear away any obstacles in my way. Any obstacles. And you know that if you want success, you're going to have to deal with regression. You're going to have to deal with chaos. You're going to have to deal with an equal force that will pull you away from your chosen goals. So I'm moving those obstacles out of the way. I'm untangling. Now here is where practice takes place. I clear away the blockage. I come all the way around my back. I come up my back and I put both hands together behind my back. I'm going to turn my back to the camera so you can see. When I first started, I was somewhat like here, where most of you will be probably. But as the years and the time went on, I was able to make that connection. I want you to do the best that you can and make that connection. The scientists are telling us now that this will help to unclog and unblock arteries into our heart, and telling us that we will now be able to block away or to move away all those destructive things inside of our body that is causing us premature death. I take that elbow, and as I bend from the hips, I move down, so I'm gonna get out of the range of the camera. You're not gonna be able to see me based on what I'm doing. That elbow on the knee. I uncurl, I come up, and I open up the small of my back, my hips. And I can actually feel the sensation. I even just heard a little pop. I'm not trying to strain. Matter of fact, I don't want to strain. I'm stretching the body. As I breathe in and breathe out. So I call this my morning sunrise. Most of the time, I'm up on the mat at 5 a.m. Most of the time. In the last month or two, I got a very zealous student who leaves his house at 4:30, get to my house at 5 a.m. And I must say, this gentleman, he's 64 years old, be 64 in July the 25th. And he's learned more from me in 3 to 4 weeks than most of my students in 3 to 4 years. The key is consistency and persistency. So you got to be consistent. They say it takes 10,000 hours to make a master. That's what they say. Well, I'm a grandmaster because I have put in over 100,000 hours. And I'm still going. My aim is to give the Creator back this body better than what it was given to me. That's my aim. To give the Most High, to give our African God, African ancestors, to give a gift. And this body is part of that gift, a present. So you got to do in the present what you want to receive in the future. So you got to work right now. So the geography, the geometry, the anthropology, not only of the world, but of your world, your body, your space. So look at how I'm clearing away any obstacles. See how I'm flowing? Not only flowing in my body, I'm flowing in my mind, my breathing. My breathing is real smooth. I actually stretch my breathing as I inhale and exhale. And it's in sync with my movement. So when I breathe out, my hands go out. When I breathe in, my hands come in. So everything is moving in divine order. I'm going to come to the other side because you want to have what the Asian family call the yin and the yang. So I don't want to do anything on one side that I do not do on the opposite. So on my opposite side, to co-sign, I reach into the universe. And again, I grab that adaptation. What do I want to adapt to? I want to adapt to any and everything that befalls me, any and everything that I'm reaching for, any and everything that has happened in the past, present, or future. I want to adapt. They say become one with everything that you want to be a part of. Become whole. So I'm reaching and I'm grabbing. I'm taking it in and I'm integrating it inside of myself. Mind over what? Mind over matter. So when you're ill, people say, what's the matter with you? Because you got to go over the matter. So not only do we understand to rise up, but we overstand so that we can move forward. So we have to use both over and understanding. I know the conscious community like to say not understanding, overstanding. Well, I'm the ancestor consciously in this living body. And I say you need both. So here I connect on the other side. Again, I'm not trying to do anything fancy. What I'm doing is I am showing you what time is able to produce. I take that elbow, I bend my hips, and I go to the knee. So this helps, at least on the minimum, arthritis, rheumatism, gout. This helps all of those crippling diseases. These are some of the benefits. Of course, you have to do it consistently. So as time is getting ready to wind down, I can say this and leaving you with a formula. 1 time a day is good. 2 times a day is very good. 3 times a day is excellent. 5 times a day is good. 5 minutes a day is good. 10 minutes a day is very good. 15 minutes is excellent. So I tend to do this 3 times a day, 15 minutes each, 45 minutes. That's a small price to pay for maintaining your health. So I don't have to worry about the insurance on the outside, although I have insurance. I'm concerned with the insurance on the inside. So as I wrap this up, as we get ready to call it a second a day in paradise and love, I come to you and I greet you and I depart with you with love and joy. I stand in the aura that Queen, Goddess, Rosalind Jeffrey, she did such a wonderful job. And I send you love in the form of one of my mentors, or I like to say Jegnas, not mentors, but Jegnas, the late great John Coltrane, a love supreme, a love supreme. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-o.
Shay.
Thank you, Baba Yokope, for your generous contribution, impactful contribution. So we're going to move into our next libation. Our next libation, somebody said Asante Sana Grandmaster Baba Bay, and he also is part of the Alcera Set Society national co-chair who is does Qigong, we do that as part of Alcera Set Society. So, and actually it's a good segue because the next libation will be on restitution. Restitution looks at how we restore our culture and our languages and our citizenship and our sovereignty and all of those things, restoring ourselves to the way we were before the crimes happened. And so we have a offering coming from Dr. Chinzira, as I mentioned before, activist, spiritual leader in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. And she has sent her libation in, so we're going to partake of that. Right.
Excellent.
All
right. I apologize.
Hotep, Hotep, Hotep family. I am Nusutmu Asnath, Dr. Chinsira Lavis Kahina of Per Ankh and Smai Tawi, the house of life of the twinned regions, the twinned lands that brings our unity as ancestral, ancient Africans, Nubianu, Kushianu, Kemetu, heritage, legacy. This is a voice offering, a libation in recognition, solidarity, honor, and of course, our African spirituality in harmony, in truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, balance, divine righteousness, and harmony, those ancestral principles that compose Ma'at. As we bring this vibration, we've been asked by the stewards, the keepers, the balance leaders of Ncobra for this 32nd annual conference, albeit virtual, and we are hailing from St. Croix, Virgin Islands, in full solidarity with our brothers and our sisters, our elders, our youth, our sages, our stewards, our freedom fighters, as we honor this most illustrious vibration of reparations now, more than a check. We start our libation with the offerings that have come from gardens here in St. Croix, from our farmers, from flowers that come from the flora and fauna from our yard. And we extend the altar space and welcome you in. And we ask most humbly that you exchange with the reciprocity in Ma'at. Shahuti.
I'm gonna sing with no voice, Lord.
We provide this offering for us. We ask that permission always be granted for us to do the great works that we do, so that when we speak of reparations and we speak of those elements of restitution, that we're speaking of them in the manner that allows for those that have benefited from unjust enrichment to restore, to provide those gains to those that were not only victimized, not only survivors, that have been able to be resilient and thrive even beyond all of the most hideous atrocities experienced. Do I want to? Restitution in the midst and the groundings of reparatory justice, reparations now. We give the Ncobra as a way of giving praise and adoration to our ancestors, to our elders, to our youth, all that is above and below, in the tradition of Smai Tawi. Ncobra, Ma'at Chihuti, Ncobra, Pita Sekmet, Ncobra, Atum Muta, Ncobra, Shoo, Ncobra, Tefnut, Ncobra, Nut, Ncobra, Set, Ncobra, Paut, Neteru, Ncobra, Asar, Ncobra, Ast, Ncobra, Nebet Het, Ncobra, Ein Pu, Ncobra, Heru Ur, Ncobra, Nebu Neteru, Ncobra, Shepshu, Anku, Ncobra, Nukpuknuk. We do an offering to our ancestors and call all of those names, because those names are endless. Call the names of those in your maternal line, your paternal line, those that are in the maternal line, the paternal line of your close friends, those that are in solidarity with each and every one of us, as keepers, as stewards, as sages, as elders, and eldresses. Those that keep that energy of Heterokuhuti as the warriors, those that keep that very focused, divine, intelligent energy of Chihuti, and of course, those that restore, maintain, sustain Ma'at. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakina, Duong Tur, giving energy and light. Dr. John Henry Clark, bringing energy and light. Marcus Messiah Garvey, bringing energy and light. And when we do this, and whenever we speak of Garvey, we must speak of the Garveys plural. Amy Ashwood Garvey, up Duawu and divinity and light. Amy Jacks Garvey, Duawu and divinity and light. And there are so many, many names. The ancestral queen grandmother, grounding organizations like Ncobra, grounding organizations like the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Community League, grounding Black Power initiatives and grounding Pan-Africanism. And she is worthy, beyond worthy, of a completely different sphere of honor and recognition when we speak of restitution and how those gains by those that are responsible are to be engaged for the balancing, the repair, the outright restoration of our African nation everywhere. Let us call her name and call her name Queen Mother Moore. Here we speak of Reverend Dr. Edward Woolard Blythe and his wives. Make sure I highlight that. We speak of Hubert Harrison and his wives. General Butto, Queen Mary Thomas, Queen Felicita James, Queen Axelina Solomon, Queen Matilda McBean, Queen Braku, Queen Defile, Queen Nagamani. And as we speak of many, and we ask that you continue to do that often. We also give an offering in addition to our ancestors, to our elders and our eldresses, all in this wonderful array of engagement, and we honor them, and we ask for their blessings and their mercies. We humble our spirit and ask that as we are here pouring, begin to call all of those elders and eldresses in your given community by name. And we also give thanks and praise to our youth, the youth that are authentically the spark of any revolution, of all the change, everything that we bring into the table. Great is Ma'at, Chihuti Seshite, theirs are everlasting. They remain unconsistent and unchanged since Septupi, the first time from the noon's creation, from the first time when Asar, Ast, Nebethet, Ainpu, Pesheru, Heru, pro-established the natural way in Ma'at, in Kemet, in Tasetai, in Taheteru, from the beginnings of 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 the beginnings. Do I want to? An offering. Life, strength, health, wellness, prosperity. Again, from Per Ankh and Smail Tawi.
All right. Yes, yes, yes. We give thanks again for Sister Dr. Janzira and her husband, who is on the drums, bringing us that beautiful libation influenced by the Kemetic, some people know as Egyptian Kemetic tradition. And we give thanks, dua. And so at this time, we've been interspersing the libations with participatory activities so that you will be engaged. We know that you're sitting at home in front of the computer, but we hope you did partake of some of the sharings that Baba Yoga gave to energize yourself, the sharing that Sister Shakira did. And now we're going to bring, we know that meditation, visualization, physical movement, Qigong, energy movement is important, but another form of lifting us and healing us is song. And so I'm very happy to bring on Sister Lady Freedom, activist with Ncobra, activist with the New Black Panther Party, and just got to watch her in action and at Tulsa, the 100th anniversary, and got to see, you know, a lot of times in many organizations, the brothers are, men are put up front as the spokespersons, but the sisters actually are doing the real work, making everything happen. And that's what I observed when she's a powerful speaker, powerful organizer, powerful leader in her own right. And been active with Ncobra for many years now, holding it down in Birmingham, Alabama. And so when she was in Tulsa, she was inspired by the ancestors that gave her this song. And so we thought it was very appropriate for her to share this song as a part of this ceremony. So, Sister Lady Freedom. All right.
Yes, sir. It's wonderful to be here with you all today. And I am a little hoarse, but that don't stop nothing, not nothing. And the message will still be the same. So I'm really grateful to be with you all today for this cause that is so near and dear to my heart, so that we can achieve this in our lifetime. While we were in Tulsa, Spirit called me to Greenwood and Archer real early one morning and just gave me these words to say into the atmosphere, just to call to the ancestors to rise up and fight. And so this is a participatory activity. And I'm going to be asking you all to sing along, but don't worry, the words are easy. The words are easy. And so when I call for the ancestors to rise up, and it's wonderful, we just did libations because we've been calling the ancestors in. And now what I want you to do is allow the ancestors to sing through you, that we will rise up and that we will fight for reparations, that we will win, that they can walk on the earth with no flesh and be victorious. So I'm going to teach y'all the part that I need you to sing when it's time, because I do need y'all help, as you can hear. So it's really simple. And all you have to say is, We will. We will. We will. We will. We will. And I'm singing a little low because my voice is hoarse and I got to adapt what I'm singing. However, singing it however you feel it, wherever you are. Okay, we will. Yes. And you'll feel it when it's that time. Rise up, ancestors. Rise up, ancestors, and fight. Fight for reparations. You say, we will. We will. We will. Yes, thank you for the note. We will. You can walk on the earth with no flesh and be victorious. They said,
We
will.
we
will.
yes, we will. We will. I say, rise up, ancestors. Rise up, ancestors, let's fight. Fight for reparations. They said,
We will. We will.
we will. We will. Rise up, ancestors. Rise up, ancestors, let's fight. Fight for reparations. They say, we will. We will. We will. We will. You can talk to dry bones. They shall rise and fight wars. They said,
We will.
oh yes, I hear it.
We will. We will. We will.
Rise up, ancestors. Rise up, ancestors, let's go. Fight for reparations, they say.
We will.
Yes.
We will. We will. We will.
Rise up. We will rise up. Say it.
We will
Rise up. We will rise
up.
with Umoja, rise up. With Umoja, rise up. They say,
We will. We will. We will. We will.
you can go into the places and fight out of sight. And they said,
We will. We will.
we will. We will. Spirit called me to Standpipe Hill. After I walked around that place that they call a stadium that's a mass grave. And I walked around and sung it and walked around and sung it. The Spirit led us to Standpipe Hill with the Spirit team. And the Spirit team told me, look at your army. Speak to them and command them to go where you can't go, because they could go into places without being seen. I call to them, go and fight these fights that we can't fight, so we can be here for generations to come, to be with our children. To speak to the celestial army, because yes, we are prepared to do what we must do in the physical, but we also must war in the spirit and allow our mighty warriors to go and war for us. And the Spirit told me to sing to those spirits that stand pipe hill, the spirit of resistance. The spirit of resistance, to speak to it. The spirit of victory, the spirit of excellence that resided in those areas around Stand Pipe Hill, around Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. And to tell those dry bones, you can speak to dry bones. They shall rise and win wars. They said,
We will, we will, we will, we will.
we will speak to dry bones. They shall live and win wars.
We will, we will, we will, we will, we will.
We will, we will, we will. All over the world. It's not just reparations for America, all over the world. As I burn this incense from the motherland, from the place of Ethiopia, may this smoke carry throughout the earth, throughout all of the realms, to help us be successful, to gain reparations for those ancestors who have laid the path for us. We will make our ancestors proud, and we will win together. We will. We will. We will. We will. I promise to sing it prettier next time, but I hope that it gets in your spirit. Let it go with you, because there are so many things. He said, go on, you mighty race. You will accomplish what you will. And we will it. And yes, we will. And so I hope it gets to your spirit. And even just the we will, even just to hum it, back in the days when our people say, and when I couldn't say a word, I just wave my hand, I just moan, and them old church, we used to just, when you're going around somewhere, you want them to tear down those principalities and strongholds that are binding our people, just, They don't gotta know what we're singing about. They don't gotta know what we're humming about. Yes, and so I thank you all so much, my Ncobra family, for this invitation. Thank you for all that you are doing around the globe, and we will, from Alabama to Angola, we gonna get it. From Algiers to Adewale, we gonna get it, and we will. And please join me in continuing to lift that up, so that the spiritual army can know we got their back, and we'll continue to give them energy. I bless you all. I really just can't explain the words of how grateful I am. And may the ancestors be with us, fight for us, fight alongside with us to win this war, this battle for reparations, for it is long overdue. And we will make our ancestors proud. Black power.
Black power. All right. Thank you so much for that moving song, Lady Freedom. And we need to record that. We will, and move that around and make a video to go along with it as well. And thank you for that sharing, that very touching movement, sharing how the ancestors spoke to you when you were there in Tulsa. At this point, what I'm going to do is to do a next libation, and I'm going to make it short and sweet, because after my libation will be followed up by another Jegna, another master teacher, another profound scholar warrior activist, Baba Leonard Jeffries. And he's going to close us out with the theme of satisfaction, which deals with restoring the dignity, the educational narrative of our people and people of African descent. I'm going to do compensation, and then we're going to wrap this all up with prayer. And we would like to know, well, I'm going to share that later, that we appreciate the comments in the chat. And after we close this, we would like you to give comments about what you felt about this experience, particularly, again, if you're interested in working with the Ashe Committee in the future. And so we thank you all for being a part of this. So there's a lot of conversation about compensation. We know in this reparations movement in Ncobra and others that unfortunately a lot of the focus of reparations has been solely on compensation. And so we expand that when we talk about how we have to address the 5 injury areas: education, health, criminal justice, wealth and poverty, nationhood, peoplehood. We talk about it and how we have to address holistically things like our political prisoners of war. We talk about the 5 forms of reparations, which we're doing today, and how much more holistic reparations is beyond compensation. However, we do not negate compensation. Compensation is an important part of reparations because, you know, oftentimes, even when I think about people trying to calculate, and there's lots of calculations in terms of what we owe based on slavery, how much cotton we picked and things. And for me, that's somewhat of again, Jumoke, there's somewhat of a possibly a flawed way of looking at, I won't say flawed, that may be a little strong. I see challenges in looking at reparations from that perspective. You know, one of the things that we have to consider, for example, just to me, lost possibilities. All of the dreams and visions of our enslaved Africans that they were not able to realize, business ideas, community development ideas, artistic ideas, so many inventions and things that never even came into existence because of the enslavement, the Ma'angamizi, the great Ma'afa of our people. And so we have to look at, you know, people talk about cotton, the biggest commodity were us. Our bodies, the value of Africans, enslaved Africans, was the biggest commodity. We were more valuable than cotton and all of the different crops that we produced in this country. So when we talk about compensation, we have to, in my opinion, I encourage us to think, I say what I call forward thinking. What are those things that we need to repair ourselves? And what are the costs associated with that? So one of the things, for example, we feel we need is to recover our languages and culture. What would it take? What's the cost that it would take for every person of African descent in the United States and other places to learn African languages and become fluent in African languages again, to begin to embrace African culture? We could take young people to Africa to do exchange programs and go to school there in their developmental years, junior high school, and those things, where they would go to Africa maybe for 3 or 4 years and come back. There's a cost that we can put to those types of things. And that's what I encourage us to begin to again think about when we talk about reparation. But we also need to also context everything from the perspective of, you know, we are wealthy people, right? And we know if we go back and look at us as a people, for example, and Dr. Leonard Jeffries can expound on this way better than I can, but we can talk about how the wealth of Egypt and Kemet, they control the commerce. They control the commerce and economics throughout Africa, what's now known as Asia, Europe. We can talk about people like Mansa Musa Ashe, who is known to be the wealthiest man to live on this planet, and who built schools and mosques and temples throughout Africa to demonstrate his wealth and his support for different communities around Africa. So we have to understand, and Baba Mukasa reminds us all the time. Baba Mukasa reminds Baba Dada Mukasa reminds us all the time of all of the wealth in Africa, all of the mines, all of the mineral wealth that's there in our motherland that we have to control. So that's part of the compensation as well, when we talk about compensation. And these so-called debts that our African nations and Caribbean nations so-called owe to the World Bank and these financial institutions, those things have to be written off. That's some of the forms of compensation when we talk about compensation. And then I want us to think about what are the ways that we can begin to structure ourselves to be able to prepare ourselves for reparations. We need to think, we'll consider thinking about things like trust, thinking about things like cooperatives, credit unions, and different ways that we can more collectively pool our resources as reparations continue to be manifest. And then finally, as we pour this libation, I want us to think about, oftentimes when we pour libation, we call out the names of those freedom fighters and those people that are well known, like say Malcolm X, and earlier we heard Marcus Garvey and others, and we all respect due to those. But as we think about compensation, I just wanted us to think about some of the people who have contributed in terms of business, in terms of economic development in our community. There's a woman that you may not know the name of, but you will know it. Name is Sarah Breedlove. Sarah Breedlove, more commonly known as Madam C.J. Walker, considered to be the first recorded African-American woman self-made millionaire. We recognize her and we say Ashe. But I recently learned that Sarah Breedlove actually got her start from a woman named Annie Malone, who started a line of hair care products. As a matter of fact, some people feel that Madam C.J. Walker actually copied some of her recipes when she started working with her. But Anna Malone, this powerful woman entrepreneur, had built a school. And in her school, she had a manufacturing plant. She had a store to sell her products. She had a gymnasium. She had a chapel. She had an auditorium that could seat 500 people. Now we're talking about the early 1900s. Similar to Tulsa, we had women and people, not just in Tulsa, Greenwood, but we had other business people that were doing mighty things, in terms of economic development. So we want to recognize Annie Malone, Ashe.
Ashe.
And then another woman that I'm familiar with is Maggie Lena Walker, who started a fraternal order. And out of that fraternal order, she created a bank. And she's the first African-American woman to start a bank and be the president of that bank in Richmond, Virginia. So we want to think about these types of minds when we think about compensation, those people that gave us an example of how to manage money, how to invest money, how to grow money, and how to have successful businesses. Okay?
Ashe.
And then we balance that out when we want to look at some of the men. There's a brother named T.M. Alexander. Probably not that familiar with that name, but he did work with life insurance and insurance. And one of the things that his contribution is that during the Montgomery bus boycott, when the white insurance companies wouldn't allow, cut the insurance off so that people were carpooling in Montgomery to get people to school because they would get people to where they needed to go because of the boycott, they're boycotting the buses. So the white business people felt they could shut it down by just cutting off the insurance. So Martin Luther King went to T.M. Alexander, who had an insurance company in Atlanta and was able to get insurance for people, for their car, for the drivers in Montgomery, so they could continue the bus boycott and have insurance. So we recognize people like T.M. Alexander. And so many more names that we could call out. Another name that comes to my mind is Alonzo Herndon. Walked to Atlanta with a couple dollars in his pocket and started a barbershop and continued to grow and then ended up in creating the Atlanta Life Insurance Company. And so phenomenal business contributed as well. So Alonzo Herndon,
I'll say.
So again, as we bring this short libation to a close, I just want us to think, about different ways of looking at reparations and compensation, because I've heard again so many different figures that have been put out there. When I was in Ghana, when there was International Reparations Conference there in 1999, there was a figure put out of $777 trillion. That is owed to people of African descent worldwide. And it was actually interesting because after that conference, you had news reporters and stuff like, how did you all calculate that? And what's the basis of that number? And they actually took it seriously. And then just recently, I heard our dear brother Ray Winwood said somebody came up with a figure of $6.2 quadrillion, which is the next cycle past trillions, right? So, but then again, he did say that person may have just been saying that just to make reparations seem outrageous. We don't know his intentions. So, but again, I think the dollar amount, it should be based on what do we need and what's the cost that it's going to take to prepare ourselves. And so again, we give honor and thanks to the Creator, because it's through the Creator and our ancestors that prosperity is in us already. Ashe?
I say.
And we have examples of people who have tapped into that spirit, into that frequency of prosperity, and set up businesses, things like that in our community. We honor them, Ashe.
Ashe.
And as reparations comes forward, we will prepare ourselves and put dollar amounts in terms of what is it that we need to heal ourselves and repair ourselves and restore ourselves. Ashe.
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 So, as I said, at this time, we're going to bring our esteemed elder, and it's so good that we've had these husband-wife teams presenting these libations, with the exception of myself. But we are thankful to have a powerful powerhouse couple, and we thank Dr. Leonard Jeffries for his contributions to Ncobra, to the liberation struggle of African people worldwide, and could go on and giving him his accolades, but we're just going to bring him on now to do his libation around satisfaction.
Hotep family, it is always a pleasure to join our people when they're about serious business. And certainly we had a chance this morning to see how serious we can get in charting our future. And so I'm glad that this tradition has been maintained by Ncobra, and we certainly want to give thanks to all of you who've been in the forefront of making sure that certain traditions are maintained and sustained, and they help us with this process of Africanizing. So I want to give thanks to those ancestors who laid this foundation that we're standing on, and give thanks to our elders who are more immediately available to us, who had a hands-on relationship with us as we moved through history and began to leave our mark. I was very glad that my wife, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Nana Avivio, that's her African and stool name, and most of you know me as Dr. Leonard Jeffries, but my stool name among the Akan is Nana Kwekujua, Ajuman II of the Agogo stool in Asante. so that we have not only been observing these great traditions of our people, we've been trying to live them. And we have been blessed, particularly my wife and myself and others, so many others who moved into the movement with us, not even as individuals, they moved in as couples, they moved in as families. So it's very appropriate that we have this type of celebration as part of what we're achieving as African peoples, and breaking it down, and then not only celebrating but raising up our future where we intend to go. So I am delighted to be a part of it. My wife, you're not supposed to say anything about birth dates, but this week was her birthday. And so she's celebrating remaining on the continent and in the universe, bringing her spiritual power and her understanding of these important ideas to us. So give thanks, all of you, for making this a wonderful tradition and certainly a needed celebration and process to liberate us from the control over our mind, body, and spirit that the enemy has exercised. And so one of the most important individuals in our world in terms of bringing this African consciousness to us was a brother called Dr. John Henry Clark. And today, or tomorrow, we're going to be celebrating a great TV ancestor. In fact, his wife has made her transition, and we'll be celebrating that. That's our brother, TV man, well, I'm going to give him a doctor, Dr. Gil Noble. He certainly was an extraordinary achiever and putting our history on that national TV. But he also had talents. He was a musician and he was an artist. This is his painting of Dr. John Henry Clark. And he actually gave it to me years ago and said, please use it for any activities you have, any fundraising activities. And so he foresaw that could be one of the things that could generate resources for us continuing the struggle. But we've had a great display of our talents today, and I want to be able to talk about those of us who have to be in the vineyards in terms of education, and all of us have to be educated. To be master teachers, some of us have to be in the community, but we all need to master the tradition of passing this knowledge down from generation to generation. And so why are we celebrating in such a way? Because that allows us to reveal who and what we are. We have to have what I call systems analysis. And in understanding our dilemma and the enslavement and the destruction of our peoples, we have to understand others put negative systems in place to process us. And so in order to counteract the negative systems, we have to restore and reinvent and even extend our systems of extending life and giving life meaning, which is our contribution. We did not wait in the darkness for the Europeans to bring the light. We were able to use whatever relationships we have with creation and the Creator to be able to make our mark for the world. So in order for us to continue this process that Dr. John Henry Clark and his partner, Dr. Ben, gave us, and then this tiger cubs of Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, would be all those scholars coming up under us. And one in particular is Dr. Asa Hilliard, the most extraordinary spirit moving among us. But then he also had his cousin who based himself in Chicago. So he created a Chicago School of Learning and extended it. Dr. Jacob Carruthers and a whole host of those around him. So you had your School of Africanists out of Atlanta, your School of Africanists out of Chicago, your School of Africanists out of the Southern domains, New Orleans, School of Africans out of Los Angeles, and even the Bay Area, San Francisco. And of course, these schools of Africanists emerged in the West Indies, in the various communities in the West Indies, the French-speaking community, Martinique and Guadeloupe.
That's a good memory too.
You have not only Jamaica, but you got Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados. And then of course you have this monster part of our population in Brazil. And so the hundreds of millions of Black people around the world are located in strategic places. And so we have to form a system uniting them. And that system has to include three important elements of the sacred triangle: economics, politics, and culture. Economics is not something that the capitalists do. Economics is what everybody does in order to create growth and resources in order to survive. So we all have to become expert in economics. And that's one of the first great contributions our people gave to the world. So we need to look at the development of agriculture, the development of other forms of trade and whatnot as part of the African contribution. Certainly the great rivers, the Nile River extending down into the Niger River systems represent Africans understanding economics. But your economics is your creative, productive capability, but that can't work for you if you do not have in place the opposite complementary process, which is management. Management, politics, we refer to it, but politics is the management of your world. And the most important thing you have to manage is your economics. And so economics as a foundation, politics as a means of making it real, and culture is the key. Culture tells you how to be involved in deep economics that services you. Culture tells you how to go deep into your political traditions. So culture is more than just dancing and expressing your joy or expressing your reverence. Culture is the key. It's the deep thought. It's the process linking us together. It creates these great bodies of knowledge, and we need to tap into that. And that's what we've done. And so we've been blessed to have from the Western Hemisphere, our great brothers from Brazil and Central America, including Panama, as well as Africans from the various island communities in the Caribbean. But we have this enormous collection of Africans that came together in America and every parts of America, and they began to plant their seeds, and those are building blocks for the new African pyramid of triumph, economics, politics, and culture that we have to put in place. And so wherever we go, in Detroit, you'll have a certain important rooted community that needs to be expanded. You can even leave Detroit and go up to Montreal or Toronto, and there's another African community. So we're talking about how do we link this enormous body, the most important body of the human family, together for a meaningful future. And certainly this process of tapping into an understanding of how powerful we have been economically, and we still are, even in enslavement, crippled as we were, as our brother was trying to explain, Kamoki was trying to explain, that we were key to this economic giant that became this monster capitalist exploitative process. We were key to that because of the role that we played, and we haven't understood that. We still are key, but we need to be key in terms of our own plan, our own economic program, our own political program to manage it, and our own cultural deep thought and ideas. And so all of these things that we've had today, including the presentation by our sister who was singing to the glory, we have to give her her acknowledgement also, because she was saying that we have to step into our culture and make it work. And so when she was talking about winning and Africans surviving, we have to move past surviving to thriving. And so we have to call upon the African greatness in song, Africanizing our lives. And so when we saw the various people making their contribution, it was fantastic to see all the different levels of Africanizing our lives. And once we begin to do that, then we know we're preparing something for the future. We can't get stuck into the European world in fighting the devastation of it and have the power to break out of it and reestablish in an even greater dimension the African world, linking that, moving from survival culture, as we have been able to do, to a thriving culture, building a new world. And one of our great brothers who represents this flow of knowledge that has spread around the world is Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop. And this was his monumental work, which I helped to get translated into English. He was a Senegalese scholar, well-trained in terms of the European world, a physicist. He covered so many areas. He was he was the Imhotep of the modern world, a multi-talented genius, but he loved Black people. And his mission was to raise anew the whole question of Pan-Africanism, Africanizing our lives so that we can contribute to make a great contribution to Pan-Africanism. He dedicates this book to his mentor, and it's a fantastic dedication to Alioune Diop, who was, along with his great wife, Madame Diop, the foundation for Cheikh Anta was this older African brother of his, who not only helped to publish books, he created a think tank, the Presence Africaine process of gathering information and distributing it and supporting people. He engineered Dr. Diop in getting his PhD, for example. And I happened to be in Europe at that time. My wife had gone to, Rosalind had gone to Africa in 1960. I had gone to Europe in 1960 to study and to help to study the African world. And so it was at that time that I met Cheikh Anta Diop and others, including Alioune Diop, who had a think tank, a publishing house, which is still going on today. And so those are the type of things we need to understand and tap into. So the family of Africans is what I'm trying to outline. And then one of the examples of this family contribution and tradition is this brother from Guyana. This is Ivan Van Sertima, who again tapped into those of us gathering this information and systematizing it and trying to put it and weaponizing it so we could resist the oppression. And Ivan Van Sertima began to create a whole series of explosive information and publications. And he created the Journal of African Civilization. And in this journal is dedicated to great African thinkers and to Cheikh Anta Diop. And my review of Cheikh Anta Diop's great work, Civilization Barbarism, is here. And so you had South America as part of our world. And then you had the Pan-Africanism. Now, this is one of the greatest of our African leaders, but he represents so many of them. And this is Dr. Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana. But he also linked up with Black America through Agre of Africa, who was a Ghanaian who came to America and who went to Livingstone College in the Carolinas. And so Nkrumah represents the link between other Africans, including W.E.B. Du Bois from the US, including George Padmore from the Caribbean, including W.E.B. Du Bois. And so you need to be able to see, and our sisters. In fact, Nkrumah was the head of the Pan-African Congress in 1945. He was the secretary, he ran it. The head nominally was W.E.B. Du Bois, who was there. One of the Garvey wives was there. Who was there? Ross McConnell from Guyana. Who was there? George Padmore from the Caribbean. Who was there from Africa? You had a whole host of brothers and sisters from the African continent. And so we need to see Nkrumah not as an individual, but as part of a family of awakening Africans taking control of their lives. And we describe that as Pan-Africanism. So all of us should be familiar with the Pan-African Conference in 1945, which lasted for several months, 250 Africans from around the world. The conflicts and the confusions that we've had over the years, they got rid of that. There was no conflict between Garvey's contribution, which was monumental, and Diop's contribution, and Du Bois's contribution. There was no conflict between those who come from the French-speaking areas or those who come from the English-speaking or the Portuguese-speaking area or the Spanish-speaking area. So unity, Pan-Africanism represents that unity that we have. And Nkrumah went to school in America and got more of his Pan-African ideas from that experience than he did from being at home. But he began to link up with Gamal Nasser in the early
Jeffers.
Yes. And he began to create this Pan-African formulation, which we have. But where are we going? This I want to leave with you as a final understanding of where we need to go. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but we're going to come together in what they're calling the Renaissance. All of our great scholars and great leaders have referred to the Renaissance, which we are in now. And the Renaissance is not an individual, it's not just a movement, but it's a people's process. And this Senegal, beautiful symbol of where we are going, was put in place because the OAU, the African Organization, the Unity, African Union, they decided to ask some of their leaders to come up with where we are going. And the head of Senegal, Dr. Wad, and Becky, the head of Southern Africa, South Africa, and Obasanjo and others were asked to be in the forefront of producing what we need to have is the rise of the family. And it's not just the rise of the warrior, the male warrior, but it's the rise of our queen mothers. And so it is the rise of the Black man holding on to his rock, the Black woman, and holding up to the world the product of a sacred womb. And that child is not pointing to daddy to play with him. The child is not pointing north to Europe, not pointing east to Mecca, not even pointing south to the rest of the continent. The child is pointing across the Atlantic Ocean. It is, it's been built on a rock, a quiet volcanic rock, which is the closest point between Africa and the New World. And that child is pointing to the New World. And the monument itself has all of the sacred knowledge and modern knowledge of our great scholars inside. You can take an elevator up to the head of the Black man, 16 stories. And inside all of the work of Cheikh Anta Diop and Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben and our great sisters and Marcus Garvey, all of them is in this structure. So it's not just a normal monumental work, it's a spiritual, it's a cultural, it's a futuristic understanding of where we have to go as a family. So brothers and sisters, that's my little introduction to what I would really have to say. But Dr. J usually goes on for 2 or 3, 4 hours. That's not in the mix today. So I'm glad to have my partner, Dr. Rosalind, and all of you to continue this great tradition that only Ncobra has have this type of tradition. All of our organizations and movements need to study it and put it in place so we can grow together, thrive together, and create a meaningful future for our posterity. Thank you very much. Medasi, Medasi, Medasi P. Many, many thanks. For those of you who are wondering what do we have in the background, and fortunately, those are linguist staffs. My wife is an expert in African art and culture, and so she has made sure that a collection of a couple dozen linguist staffs that have a special meaning. Go back and fetch it. Ncobra, for example, and on each linguist staff is an important symbol. That's the literature, the living literature of African peoples that affects their values. So that again, Medasi P, many, many thanks for those of you who had the patience who pulled this enormous tradition together. And let's hope that we can spread it and develop that plan, as Dr. Amos Wilson, one of our great brothers, had, Blueprint for Black Power. We need just that, a blueprint for Pan-Africanism, a blueprint for the Africans, the New World Africans coming together to make their presence felt.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, one of our treasured scholar, activists, elders. Thank you so much. Brother Jamoke Atayo and I thank you very much for those of you who joined us this morning. We appreciate your presence. We hope we brought something to your spirit, something that has inspired you to continue the spiritual struggle that we are in order to win reparations for us. We understand that we have much work to do, physical work in the real world. We have to legislate. We heard from our legislators on Friday, our scholar activists who are pushing the concept forward for reparations, but we know in the end this is going to be a spiritual struggle. So we ask you to call on whatever God you know by your name, by His name or her name, to join us in this struggle. And I've passed the talking stick over to Brother Jamoke.
Yeah, so we're going to take, oftentimes, when people have challenges or someone's losing someone in their family and you say you're going to pray for them. And, I don't know how often we're going to hope that people really do that. And I'm working on doing it, not just, saying that I'm going to pray for them, but it's really taking time out and praying for that person or that family. And so we thought it would be good for us gathered here today, to just take some moment to actually pray for reparations, to whatever tradition that you believe in, communicate with the Supreme Being, your higher power, your inner self, your inner voice, your Ori, your Orisha, your Netaru, your guardian angels, however you summon the energy to empower yourself and to give thanks for what you do have and what has been blessed to you. We want you to take a few minutes to pray right now with us all, and then we'll wrap that up with some closing remarks. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Ashe. Aho. We again give a real sincere thanks to all of those who participated in this Reparation Sunday. Thank you, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, for giving us the compliment, and Ncobra the compliment for having this as a part of our conventions that is unique to us. And like you said, I'm not sure of any other groups that do it either. And thank you for acknowledging that. We appreciate that. We also recognize Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Jegna, and a great contribution. I want to recognize my elder Baba Yoga Bay, for his contribution to this Reparation Sunday. Want to acknowledge Sister Lady Freedom for the powerful song inspired by the ancestors that she brought. And again, want to thank Sister Shakira Abdul-Ali for stepping up and agreeing to work with me. As many people know, Ncobra has dual leadership, and for our commissions, a male and female co-chair, and for so long I've been kind of carrying this alone, not by myself, because I do work with other spiritual leaders and spiritual healers and priests and priestesses throughout the United States, but actually someone that helps me with the administrative aspect and behind the scenes organizing and planning. I'm glad that Sister Shakira stepped up. So now we have male and female co-facilitators of the Ashe Committee. And as we said early in the beginning of this presentation, in addition to what we do at the National Convention, we intend to meet more regularly, or I don't even like to say meet, we intend to gather more regularly throughout the year, maybe in the form of retreats, to work on ourselves as well as to do the work of visioning what type of reparations we need to continue to work on. As Dr. Leonard Jeffrey said, working on that plan. So just again, want to thank Ncobra, its board. It's the 32nd annual convention. We had a very powerful convention this year. We still have the general membership board meeting coming up right after this. So you've got a few minutes break to get yourself in shape for that. Unfortunately, I will not be able to participate in that, but we'll be going to a homegoing ceremony of my nephew here in Atlanta. And so, but blessings to Ncobra, blessings for the remainder of our convention and the work that we do. We thank everyone who's participated. We appreciate the compliments that we've seen in the chat, and we will continue this tradition. And again, if you're interested in getting more involved, you can reach out to me at reparationsj@gmail.com. I guess I'll put that in the chat. Reparationsj. And I don't know if you want to put your contact in the chat as well, Sister Shakira. People want to get in touch with you. And,
Absolutely.
Thank you. And again, Ashe, we thank you. The Ashe Committee stands for Ayurveda, Spiritual Healing and Empowerment. The word Ayurveda was given to us by Mama Marimba Ani. And she had some challenges with the word internal reparation. And so she saw, as she often does, like the word Ma'afa and Asili and so many words that she has brought into the movement, and looking for a word that she felt would more accurately address what we need to do to heal ourselves. And so the tree word Ayurveda means healing or therapy, and we're using it specifically to talk about healing and therapy that we need to address the Ma'angamizi or the Ma'afa of our people. And so that's what the Ashe Committee is mission is, and we look forward to those who feel that call to do that work. Thank you, Adupe, Madasi, Shakran. I'm gonna say goodnight. We appreciate you. Reparations now.